loved it. You guys did a fantastic job tonight. I'd like to officially, on behalf of the leadership team, on behalf of the Chino office, on behalf of the Schloeman Base Shop, I'd like to officially welcome the Life Builders. You know what I just sit back there and was like, this is better than like most Saturdays. This was off the chain. I'm so glad we're doing this. Like, this was exciting. And all of you that have guests, like, this was a great environment for the guests. And we're just getting started. I've got a training tonight just for you. Just for you. And my goal tonight is to give you the specifics of where you're at in the business and what you can start doing right now. How many of you are part-time by show of hands? Spare time? Every once in a while time? Whenever my wife lets me out of the house and come time? Okay. Like, tonight's training is about what you can do, specific little things that you can do to start making progress, start getting momentum, start building a team, start making money. And it's not me, it's not Dean teaching you, it's not Jim teaching you. Here's who the instructors are tonight. It's you guys. And so I've handpicked 4 individuals that have really just started to do some neat stuff. And I want to recognize them, but more important than recognize them, I want you to see and hear what they're doing. Because here's what I know. It's human nature. A lot of times we go, oh, well, of course that's easy for Schloeman. Well, of course, like, he should be good at all this stuff. Oh, yeah, I'm sure, of course he's making money at it. Like, and so sometimes we discount what we hear from a teacher because it seems like, well, they've been doing it longer or they're farther ahead. What I want to do tonight is give you 4 teachers that are in your midst. 4 teachers that are sitting amongst you that have begun to do enough to where they've earned the right to teach, and I think it's going to be unique because there's no way you can go, well, I'm not so sure if I can do it, because they're just like you, they're at the same stage, most of them are part-time, and they're just sort of making it happen right now. So, I want to get started. I've got 4 different individuals. Warner Trejo, I want to get started with. Warner has, and you do me a favor too, somewhere in there, you shared your experience yesterday and how it was different than experiences over the past couple of weeks. So Warner made a decision a number of weeks ago. He made a decision a long time ago, but how many of you are married by a show of hands? Someone raise your hand higher, trust me. Otherwise, it's going to be a long car ride home, brother. Why'd you only raise it this high? Why'd you put it down so high? Are you not proud of me? What's wrong, right? Trust me, okay? So, I got your back, right? Yeah. So silly. Those of you that have been married a long time, I was counseling a couple today that's been married for a bit and they're going through a tough season. Those of you that have been married for a while know that, yeah, you make a commitment, like when you get engaged. You get a commitment, right, when you stand up there and exchange. But you're like making that commitment over and over and over. And there's days down the road where it's like, it's not an easy commitment to make. It was way easier back in the day. Like, no, I'm not so sure. But you've got to keep making that commitment to finish the race. Same is true here. You got to keep making the commitment. So, yeah, Warner made a commitment like 27 years ago when I first met him. He was like, yeah, I'm going to be huge. Right? Then I didn't see him for like, 26 years. And then, right? And then so like, and he kept coming back in stages, but he's really decided, he's like, he's planted his flag, like nothing's going to shake him. And he's like, I'm going to get great at the calls, then I'm going to get great at the one-on-ones, then I'm going to get great in the field, and I'm going to build something massive here. And so I wanted him to start off just sharing what are some of the things that he's doing, how's it working for him, what are some of the real-world struggles he's had to sort of work his way through, and sort of where's he at now. So would you please help me give a raucous Chino welcome for Warner Trejo.
Down to the means beauty, right? Let me get this up. Alrighty. Perfect. Wow. Perfect. So before, I want to touch on something. I had this conversation a couple days ago, and I don't even know, probably most of you guys don't know, I actually have 2 jobs. I work full time for a company in a kiosk at the mall, and I also work at a part-time nutrition place. But I never talk about it. And we went to Calabasas a couple of weeks back with Barron, and he was doing the GT. And he talked about having a part-time business, but having full-time focus. And that hit really, really big with me. Part-time business, full-time focus. Where's your focus at? So that was one of the big things. So what am I doing? That's one of the things Christopher asked me to share with you guys today. So belief system. What is your belief system? Are you full-time at your job? Are you full-time at your part-time job? Are you full-time away from WFG? Or is your belief system here? Have you planted your flag? Have you realized what this company can do for you? So daily affirmations. Christopher has talked about this forever and ever since I've met him. And I didn't start implementing this about 2 months ago. And go figure. I started implementing this, I started getting results. I started seeing activity. I started seeing belief in myself. My confidence started to grow. Go figure, right? So what are those daily affirmations? I'll share with you what my daily affirmation is. That is, I tell myself every single day I wake up, I get in my car and I look in the mirror and I tell myself, you are blessed, you are highly favored, your family deserves the best version of you, the world deserves the best version of you, and every person you come across that day deserves the best version of you. You will be the first millionaire in your family, you will be successful. That's what I tell myself. That's been helping me with my belief system. I don't know if I'm going too fast, maybe. Association. I was telling, where's Louis at? I was telling Louis this, I was like, a year ago, literally a year ago, before I didn't start actually doing activity in this business till several months back, but a year ago, everyone around me was probably making at most $35,000 a year. Every conversation, and I can name them, Adrian and Jay, we were talking about this just the other day. They're great friends, I've known them for 15 plus years, but all they ever talked about was they complained about their job. They complained about how much they make. They complain about their coworker. They complain about the baby mama, their baby daddy. They complain about everything. So I had to change my association. I look around me now, I got people like Christopher Schloeman, every SMD in his office, Natalie Plant, Nikki Cannon, people I can reach out to you. When you talk about your associations making $250,000, it's like, yo, bro, like, change your association quickly, right? So we have that with this business. Change your association. My closest friend is Louis. I call him my brother. Like, we go back and forth on this every single day. We're not complaining about work. We're not complaining about, what happened in my first shift and why it didn't get covered with somebody else. Associations. Change your associations. This was really important. Consumption. And I'll go over what consumption is. Television, music, podcast, social media, books, etc. A year ago when I was talking about these associations, I realized things that I had struggles with, or people around me, was they just consumed the wrong things. They consumed the wrong television. They were consumed with the wrong. I was big with hip hop. I mean, that was my jam growing up. DMX, Ja Rule, Usher, like you name it, right? I had to change that. My mental state was different. I realized I would listen to certain music and it would just put me in the wrong state of mind. And I had to change that. So what are you consuming? What are you watching on TV? Should you even be watching TV? I've made a promise. I think Louis and I go over this all the time. If I'm not making $250,000, I'm not watching TV. That's it. Game of Thrones, it don't matter. It doesn't deserve my time. I need to make $250,000. So music. What type of music? What are you using music for? In my car, Louis knows this. I don't listen to music. It's either a podcast or it's off. I need to grow a business. That's just me. I don't know what's going to work for you guys, but pay attention to what you're consuming. What type of podcast? I mean, I guess my leisure podcast would be something like Joe Rogan, but you got Ed Milet. He made it massive in this company. He's got a podcast. That's accessible to each and every one of us in here. Social media. I mean, if you guys follow me on social media, I'm using it as a marketing tool. I don't consume it. I don't go cross on everybody's page, and it doesn't matter. It's all business right now. Putting my head down, planting my flag. I'm all about my business. Books. Are you even reading them? What's that saying? If you have a secret, put it in the book. Nobody's gonna read it. So, are you even reading books? I know. I was just asking Louis that Faylene gave him a book as a gift for Relentless. Like, before my associations, they're never gonna give me a book. And So again, it's all part of the same thing. Schedule. This is really important. This goes back to, I have a part-time schedule, but I have a full-time focus. One of my things is, I make 5 calls before work. My minimum is 5 calls before work, 5 calls during my break, 5 calls after work, come to the office and make more calls. That's, dude, 5 calls takes you what, 10 minutes? 10 minutes at most? Where's your focus? Where's your focus? So here's my daily activity, a minimum of 20 calls. Minimum of 20 calls, if you're doing a point system, you're getting about 35 points easily, just on leaving voicemails and having a conversation with people hanging up on you, or you losing service. So minimum 20 calls a day. I'm hitting my minimums every day. I texted Christopher last night, so you know, I had a little slump. People have ups and downs, and I missed calling for 3 days. Is this a story you wanted me to share? Yeah, so it was 3 days without making any calls. And so I get into the office yesterday, and I'm shaking. I look like Sam when he was making his first phone call. I'm shaking, and I'm just like, and I sat back in the chair, and I was like, there's no BPM. Like, even Dean's out of the groove right now, like, because anyways. So I'm sitting down, and I texted Christopher. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm scared to I've made over 1,000 calls easily, and I was just scared. I got out of the groove. It's like, how many of us have been out of the groove? It was 3 days for me. Imagine what a week would do. Imagine what a month of no making calls would do. It's scary. So what's your activity look like? Is that even in your schedule? Is that a part of your minimum on a daily basis? So have full-time focus. Remember that. Every master was once a student. Christopher has beat this into my brain for, you know, whether it's every master was once a student, whether it's every champion was once a contender, dude, like, understand that at its very core, it's going to be difficult and there's going to be a learning curve. But once you're there, once I got into the groove, even yesterday, I was like, why am I shaking? I got 3 phone calls out the way. I was like, yo, this is, you know, just got into my flow of things. Like, it's going to take time, but make sure you keep building that muscle. Point of contact. This is really important for me because I don't get to this place if I don't have a belief system. I don't get to this place if I don't have association. What do I mean by that? Ed Milet talks about this, he was really big with this, is having a 3-foot rule, a radius rule, right? It's any person that comes within 3 feet of you, recruit. Like, that was just something that he did. And I've tried to implement it, and I've gone away so many times, and it's one of my new things. I just had this conversation with someone at the mall, and I approached this young lady, and I go, you look really, really sharp. Do you mind if I ask you what you do? She's like, yeah, I work for Merrill Lynch. Boom, got a contact, had a conversation. Didn't go into, so rule of 72, it was just point of contact. Like it was, but that doesn't change if I don't have associations like Schloeman, Nikki Cannon, Jay, Charlier, Dean, you know, Steve Pate. Like, you gotta change your associations. That's all related. In the gym, people in the gym, I always play basketball in the gym. I'm always reaching out to people. I'm like, yo, you seem competitive, man. What do you do for a living? Like, you know, you'd be surprised how motivated some people are for just an opportunity, for just you. Even by saying you seem competitive, the only time they get recognized as work is for being late. So by the time you recognize them for doing good, it's just like, oh, you know, yeah, here's my number. Here's my mom's number. Like, they'll just throw numbers at you. You know, I talked about them all. Anyone with a pulse. You don't know. Like June de la Cruz during the circle a while back talked about, he was a young guy with long hair. I mean, you got Ryan Plant, who's delivering pizza. You never know who's your next. You know, you just never. I mean, I'm standing here like a year ago. I was a schmuck, man. Like I talked big. I knew every code in the book, but where was that? You just don't know where that can come from, right? Be a student of the game. I was going over this with Christopher Schloeman, and I grew up watching Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was just mental for the game of basketball. Before every game, he would practice free throws, practice his shooting drills. After the game, he goes to watch film. Are you doing that with your business? Are you practicing the calls? Are you role playing with your people in the office? I know Ricky and Louis, we're always constantly role playing. And a big thing, are you reflecting on your calls or on your activity, and are you asking for feedback and accepting that feedback? That's a big ego check, and Christopher taught me how to do this. Like, I always ask Ricky, what's your feedback on that? That's how you learn, on all the mistakes you did. It's you watching film, right? Like just like you did, just like these athletes doing sports, are you getting feedback on your activity? And this is really big with me. I am a reflection of my leadership, and this goes to each and every one of you in here. You are a direct reflection of your leadership. If Christopher was once an MVP in this company, and I continue to be a schmuck, I am a reflection. It's just like, how many of us have parents, or are parents? Everyone here should raise their hand. You are a reflection of your parents. That's what most people say, right? When you go to school, like, oh, it must be bad parents. But it's the same with WFG. You are a reflection of your leadership. Are you implementing the things that your leadership? And I say this again. This is one of my new affirmations. My leader's a former MVP. I must reflect that. Whether that's in 2 years, whether that's in 3 years, whether that's in 2 months. You must reflect your leadership. I'll leave you guys with that. I'll see you guys at the top.
Woo! Takeaways.
Reflect your leadership. Amazing concept. Very, very important. Reflect your leadership. We owe it to ourselves and to leaders.
Isn't that what you want as parents? For your children to be a reflection of you, like the best possible reflection of you,
Absolutely.
right?
I thought I just had to grow a beard.
Yeah, you're on it. You're aligned. It's an alignment thing. Yeah. We gotta get Steve Adams on board and Gibaloni on board now. Any other takeaways?
I love your daily affirmations, and I love that you use social media to better yourself and your business and not, take out and all that stuff.
How many of us have heard of affirmations before? Hearing about them doesn't work. Hearing them does work when you're hearing your own voice saying them.
Correct.
Saying them. Literally, the greatest supercomputer that's ever been designed sits on your shoulders. Like, you'd be a fool not to program it properly. Why do you let, like, this programming that's just sort of been, you've got memes and viruses that have just been thrown in there by well-intentioned people in your environment, by television, radio, by music, by culture, just all kinds of viruses have been thrown in there, and you just let them sort of take off. You've got to reprogram your mind to be congruent with what it is that you want for your life. That's a really big one.
Warner always had great energy, but I've noticed over the last couple weeks, I didn't know what the difference was. His energy seems be a lot more focused than it was before. You were pretty much just all over before. Now I can tell that you're you're more intentional with regards to your business and the results, and your results are really trying to get done. Good job.
Can I add one more thing?
Yep.
It's on. I've noted it, but it was on my notes, not on the PowerPoint. This last month has been the most activity I've ever had in the business, and my highest cash flow. And that's based on that, like full-time focus. Like it's not. Everything else is just, okay, I need to pay my bills, but this is legacy over currency.
Yeah.
That to me, that was another big one, right? Part-time hours, full-time mentality. It's a mentality. It's the way, like, I decided really early on in my career here, if I would, like, if you ever had one of those days where you're not feeling good, you got a headache, your body hurts, your nose is running, and you drag your butt to work anyway? And then, here's what I've seen happen a lot of times. Guys drag their butts to work anyway, but then they'll miss the BPM. To me, like, early on, I think 3rd, 4th, 5th week in the business, I got a horrible cold, and I was like, if I can drag myself to go work for another man, I've got to have a higher standard for my own company. Even though my own company was just me at the time. I didn't have a license, I was brand new, but I was like, if I'm truly going to build a company and this is my company, my standards for my effort and my intensity have to be higher than my standards of working for somebody else. And I'm like, here's how bad it is. I have to just sit in a chair and pretend to take notes. I can do that, no matter how bad I'm feeling. And so, that full-time mentality, most people get that full-time mentality when they start making enough money to go full-time. That's why most of them never go full-time. It's too late. There's one other thing that I just wanted to share that I think was key. Wait, what was it though? is not the one that you start with. Okay, I'll tell you which ones to start with. I'll tell you the easy ones that have a lot of great content in them. The Power of Habit. I want you to think about this. He missed just 3 days. You should see the text I should show you the text I was getting from him yesterday. After missing just 3 days, it's like he'd never made a phone call before. And it took him a bit just to get back into the rhythm and routine. So if you are in the early stage of development and you're missing every other day, or you're making calls and missing 2 days and making calls and then going like a whole weekend, and like it's always going to feel uncomfortable. It's never going to feel natural or smooth. You're never going to give yourself that gift. He created that. He had the momentum. It's like he's got swag on the phone. He's relaxed. He's having fun with it. People are hanging up. He's calling back going, oh, my bad. I've got bad phone service. I think I accidentally lost you. Like, that's like how much confidence he was running with. 3 days of not making calls, and all of a sudden it's like, where's the confidence? Where's the swag? That's the power of habit. Successful people have successful habits. Once they're in place, they're hard to move away from. But it's critical that you build super strong habits. All right. The next individual that I want to hear from is Tom. Tom had the most guests here for the Super VPN that Dan and I did here. And he's consistently, I think he had, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 directs in January, 2 directs in February, 2 directs in March, 4 directs in April.
I can't remember if it was 2 or 4, then what?
Yes.
Four,
And May,
4.
4 so far. Not that
No, in May,
Yeah.
it's been
6
6 or 7.
6 or 7. 2, 2, 2, 4, 6, 7. 4, 4, 6.
Yeah.
So, progress, and then boom, 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 right? In the midst, right here, he's one of these guys back here taking notes, inviting guests, something's happening here. I want him to share with you specifically what he's doing, some of the growth stages that he's went through, and things that I think you can apply today. Give a raucous Chino welcome for Tom Elsie.
Awesome. How are you guys doing?
Great.
So just by a show of hands, who's heard of LinkedIn? Just heard of it. And who has a LinkedIn profile currently? Just kind of curious. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, so LinkedIn's like it's like a professional Facebook. And so, really what I've been doing is been able to kind of go on there and been using that as a way to sort of reach out to people. And so actually kind of to back up, when I was coming into a big event, this was in January, I made a decision at Wealth Bowl to make a decision that, okay, I'm going to make phone calls every day, I'm going to stick to a schedule, I'm going to reach out to a certain amount of people. And when I did that, I started getting more results. So I started getting 2 recruits. And when I got better on the phone and I had more confidence when I was calling people, went to 4, then went to 7, or 6 or 7, I don't even know where I'm at. And so, that was just kind of the results I've had so far. And so, what I've been doing on LinkedIn is, I have a premium sort of service there where I'm able to look through each of the people on there that I've put that they're open to other opportunities. And so I'm able to go in and sort of message these people and just say, hey, if they're open to having a conversation. And so I'll reach out to, I think about now I've reached out to 8 or 10,000 people since January. And I think it's yielded about 18 or 19 recruits so far. And really some of the progress that I've made has really just been kind of confidence. And so when I'm sort of going through and messaging people, I'll sort of message them and I'll say, hey, introduce myself. I'll say, hey, I was impressed with your background in this and this. Our firms have really good success with your background. I was wondering if you'd be open to an informational chat, kind of get to know you better and explain a bit more about what we do. And I'll reach out to maybe 100 or 150 people a day, and I'll get 40 or 50 people kind of message back that yes, they're interested, or no, they're not. And from there, I'll just sort of schedule a phone call. And pretty straightforward. Who in here is spare time or part-time currently? Show of hands. So this is something that you can do really at any time. Like you can send out messages at midnight and 1 o'clock and be able to sort of schedule those calls really anytime during the week or whenever you have time. And so I mean, there's really no excuse. I mean, the people that reach back out to you want to have a phone call, they've already said that they're interested in learning more and wanting to come down and meet a lot of people that we're working with. And so I mean, it's really simple. And so after I'll reach out to them, I'll get them on the phone, and I think two key things from hearing Steve make phone calls and kind of what I've made over my time making phone calls is the edification and building rapport has been so key. So when you sort of build rapport and sort of drive out why they're dissatisfied and why they're looking for other opportunities is so important, because then you're able to go back and say, hey, I totally understand how you feel. That was exactly how Dean was. Or you can sort of point to someone else in the office and get them excited to meet them. And so sort of edify that person to get them excited to meet them. So I mean, I've obviously had really good success with Marines. So I'll edify Steve. And when Dan came down, it's obviously easy to edify Dan, being a Marine and his background, and so that's why I've had so much success with that group. And so I just can't really stress how important that is. And when it comes down to the invitation, I mean, it's the same old stuff that we've been practicing here and has been so critical. And what else would I say?
It's been a learning curve, but you've had adjustments as you've gone.
Yeah. So when we first started, I mean, we were kind of all over the place. I mean, we didn't really have like a set system. We were kind of reaching out to people in the beginning, and especially when it comes to cold market people. And like I said, edification, sort of sharing a little bit about what we do in the crusade, and sort of connecting that back to what this can do for them was absolutely critical. And when I started making phone calls, and I had Steve do a lot of them in the beginning. Sort of having that sort of confidence on the phone and was absolutely critical for me, and as well as having a certain amount of calls each day. So if you only make 1 to 3 calls a day, it's going to be really tough to get going, and I found that I've had my best results when I've had 20, 30 phone calls in a day. And that's just been, I've got this kind of momentum, I've got this swagger where I'm building rapport, I'm trying to let their guard down so I can talk to them about what's important to them. So other people, a lot of people are afraid to share that. And if you're able to draw that out, I mean, that's been so key. Oh, that reminds me, another thing that's been really important to me is sort of my affirmations on the phone. So I mean, 2 of the things that I've been saying is, I'm a great recruiter, and everyone says yes to me. I'll get someone down to the VP, I'm like, everyone says yes to me. And and I've had much better results as I've been going. And so I know it's just been absolutely great for me. I'm still getting warmed up. I mean, I think I can do double-digit associates next month, and so I mean that's really kind of what I've been doing so far, and it's kind of the results that I've gotten. So thank you guys. Hope you guys got a lot out of that.
Great job. Takeaways. Takeaways.
He's reached 8,000 to 10,000 people.
Okay, so one takeaway is, what kind of a game is it? Numbers game. And Tom is playing the numbers game. The numbers game, here's what we like to say, right? There's 2 laws. What are the 2 laws in the game of numbers?
Averages and large numbers.
Excellent. Excellent. Give it up for Scott. Give it up for There's the law of averages, and then there's the law of large numbers. I don't even know if Tom's averages are good, but he's playing large numbers, and if you play large enough numbers, you're just bound to find some low-hanging fruit. He's playing larger numbers than anyone else. He's found a way to do it, and here's the thing. It's great that he starts out online, he's getting and he's DMing, but at some point there's a phone call that takes place, and when you heard him say, what was critical to him on his phone calls? Rapport. Right? Really building a sense of rapport, and we can do that through a phone conversation. getting a sense of connection and rapport with them. And then once he does that, now he's able to sort of direct the conversation. Good. Other takeaways?
He's a great talker. I know since I've been working with him, he's told me whenever he first started in this business, he sucked at talking. Which I still don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
But just in the office today, he was knocking out 7, 8, 9, probably even 10 phone calls today.
Right.
It's like, how in the world were you so bad? But he got so good because he did it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, even myself, I ask myself, how do I get better at this? How do I get better at that? And Tom's a clear example of the easiest way to get better is by just doing it.
Excellent. Excellent.
So just whatever you're bad at, just keep at it.
There's a great. Just skill development. Through doing it. Repetition. Consistently doing it. Excellent. It's a huge takeaway.
And
Everybody,
feedback
the-
along the way too. I mean, I think doing
Yes.
someone's listening to him, he's not making calls in his car, or there's a phone's on, you're out in the hallway making calls, he's making them right in front of Steve, and so they get immediate feedback and get better at it. You're not developing bad habits.
right. Constant course correction. Constant course correction as you go. One of the number one things that holds people back in our business is they think they're not good enough to take the next step. So they think, I need more training classes and podcasts, and I need to read books, and I need to meditate, and I need to burn incense, and I need to do all these things to be good enough to do it. And actually the way we get better is just by doing it. It's whatever the next step is, you just gotta start doing it whether you're prepared, qualified, or not. Some people get caught up, and it's like on the firing range, and it's ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, aim. They're never firing. Because they're always like trying to get ready, right? I'd rather you just be like, ready, fire, right? We'll figure out aiming down the road, but ready, fire, 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 and we're bound to hit, a target, right? You're not gonna hit any targets if you don't squeeze off a round. Any other takeaways from Tom?
Built his confidence.
Built his confidence.
Yeah, that's what the repetition.
Repetition builds confidence. It always does. We want okay, so repetition builds confidence, and I'm going to give you something to put in your notes. By the way, are most of these principles we're coming up with, do they only apply to WFG? No, they don't. They don't. I want you to write this in your notes, because I'm not going to spend time writing it up here. You can rarely feel your way into good acting, but you can always act your way into a good feeling. In other words, if you're doing something enough times, what did Silton just say? You're going to wind up feeling great about it and more confident. What most people are trying to do is, well, I got to get myself feeling more confident, and then once I get myself to feel more confident, I'll start doing. It's the backwards process. By doing is where you get your confidence. By working through the early stages where you get your confidence. Steve?
One of the things I was gonna say is watching Tom, affirmations are critical because he made the decision in January and he put in a lot of time and effort. April was a tough month for him on the phone because that was the month that I stopped making all of his calls and he had to make his own calls. And he struggled because he would always tell himself, oh, they're not going to show up. Oh, this is going to happen. And he was constantly speaking negative beliefs. And it was his best recruiting month to date. But he didn't notice it because he kept putting negativity out there and he was struggling through things. And when he shifted his affirmations to actually starting to physically say them out loud, and every time he wanted to say something negative, he consciously replaced it with a positive, and he said it out loud. That's when all of a sudden, because he looked at it, he's like, oh my gosh, I doubled my numbers this month. He's like, it didn't feel like it. And I said, but you did.
Yeah.
And once he started shifting, that's when the explosion started happening. And everything about his demeanor and everything shifted because he started to make conscious efforts about his attitude and conscious efforts about his beliefs. And that is really what drove
And
us.
we've talked about it many
last
times,
month.
awareness is the first step to change. When he's aware he's saying something that's negative, not congruent with his goals, not congruent with what he wants or where he wants to go, he's like, wait, and I gotta say something different. Here's the thing I love that he said. What did he say? I'm a great recruiter. Right? He said that. Now, what do you think the first time he said that out loud, what do you think the chances are that he believed it? I bet even now when he says it, he doesn't 100% believe it all the time. But here's what happens. He's starting to get a track record of numbers now that if he keeps saying it and keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to start to not only believe it, but he's going to start to believe like he's the best recruiter. He's going to start to believe that literally everybody says yes to him because his results and his language, his results and his language, his results and his language, all of a sudden that shifts your identity and it shifts your beliefs. And all of a sudden, whether it's true or not, he's literally going to believe he's like the best recruiter on the planet. And because he'll believe that's true, he's likely to manifest conversations, situations, and opportunities to support what he already believes. That's super, super powerful. All right, I got two more we got to get through, and we're running short on time. Silton, I'd like to have Silton up there. Silton is part-time, and Steve and Carol have been in my ear for a while, like, oh, Silton's going to be the next big thing in the base, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and I was like, yeah, whatever. They're like, he's a terrific guy. They're like, oh yeah, well, he's doing this and this. And everything that they were telling me about he was doing was related to writing apps. I'm like, nobody's going to be a big guy in any base shop writing a bunch of apps, right? But then all of a sudden when something new, he started having guests. And week after week started having and all of a sudden he started to build a really, really, really strong team of, like, the people on his team they are terrific people, kind of people that I bet on. So he's got some magic going, and he's preparing himself to transition from part-time to full-time. So I'm really excited about the shift that he's made, because there's a tendency oftentimes to want to get caught up in the production side of things. Production always follows recruiting. There's nothing wrong with production, but if that becomes your focus, you're gonna hamstring yourself. You're gonna limit your ability to really do something big here. But you begin to build a team, and anything's possible. So please help me give it up for Silton.
Okay, so I'm really jacked up about this business. I don't know if any of you knew from last week, but I came in here last week on crutches. I had surgery just the day before, and my wife's like, no, you can't go to the meeting. I go, I gotta go to the meeting, So I came, that was a bad idea, okay, because I spent the rest of the week in bed because my leg blew up like crazy. But anyways, it's all good now. I'm on a cane. That'll be gone by Saturday. I believe it'll be gone by Saturday. So, but I wanted to share a couple things that I'm doing to win right now. And there was a shift that took place with me. I've been in this business now not quite a year, but getting close to a year. And actually, it's longer than that. I just have to tell you a quick story. Steve and I, we know each other because I'm not sure how many of you know this, but Steve was in the practice company before, right? Well, we actually used to share an office, and I have to tell you this one you'll get a kick out of. When Ed Millett was recruited in the business, they were looking for people to help train him. I was one of the people who took Ed out of the training center. Can you do that? But there was something that Ed Millett said to me many years later, because I stayed in that company for a while, actually been out of this business over 10 years. I stayed away for about 10 years, and so Steve actually signed me up in 2011, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to do this. But I did it just to get him off my back, because he was calling me every day. So I said, I'm coming to the office, and I want to do this. And then I put him off again for 7 more years. Can you believe that? So anyways, what I want to say about that is don't wait, you guys. Don't wait. I had reasons for doing that, but, one of the things that happened to me, I do believe that everything we do in life happens for a reason, okay? I believe that the reason I came to the meeting was to get me laid up. You know why? Because guess what I did all those days? I found YouTube. I started watching every video I could find on WFG. And you guys, I don't know if you've done this or not, but there is a lot on YouTube from Christopher Schloeman. He is one of the best trainers in this company. I don't care what anybody says, because I watched some of the rest of them. You guys, if you're not watching those videos, you're making a huge mistake, okay, a huge mistake, because everything you can get is right there. The other reason I got serious is because Steve and Carol, who are awesome friends of ours. I've known them for a long time. Brenda's known them, my wife, and by the way, my beautiful wife, 42 years. I'd never trade her in for anybody else. I love her. But I keep thinking, they got a
for the hand thing, huh?
Huh?
Still big up for the hand thing?
I'll make up that. But you know what, those Steve and Carol, they're just a little bit past us in age, just a few years, nothing big, right? But the point of it is, I figure if they can make 150 grand a year, why can't I, right? You know, I gotta share this, and this is not that I'm trying to brag or boast, but I'm already making over 100,000 a year. But I want to retire from that job. So Christopher's correct. We're going to retire this year from our jobs. In 2019, we're going to go MD by the end of the year, if not sooner, okay? And we're going to continue to build a big team. But I wanted to say to you, you guys, we don't realize what we have here. What I do, like some of the other things that you've heard, I do something every single day for WFG. I don't care what it is, whether it's watching a video or listening to a podcast or calling someone. It's difficult for me to call every day. You know, I'm doing something tomorrow, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I work as a program director in a college, and tomorrow I'm going to a recruiting day. I'm supposed to be recruiting students in the college. Oh my gosh, that's going to be crazy because my mind is a full-time mentality. There's no question about that. So every chance I get, I'm sneaking people to the side and getting the name of them. Okay, I don't care, right? What do you care? I'm talking to people at work about it. In fact, I was interviewing a new guy to come to work for me today, a new instructor, and I said to him, well, you know, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, but the program's running great. You don't have to worry about that. You've got a good, solid job. Already in my mind, I've already quit that job. Do you understand? It's already happened. I started cleaning out my desk the other day. Isn't that crazy? Because it's going to happen, okay? It's going to happen. Because you have to do it. How many of you have read, and this is a good book, I know Christopher would recommend this, The Easy Starter. How about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich? How many have read it?
Yes.
Well, I got one sentence from that book that made the most sense to me. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it will achieve. Now, how do you think I memorized that? I read that and said that over and over and over again. And that's when I started doing positive affirmations. So, and you know what? I've been out of the business for a long time, so I'm starting over again. I had to learn to be coachable again. Listen to what your uplines, your directs, the people that brought you in the business are telling you. Quit trying to figure it out on your own. So I started listening to them. So that's the other thing that you need to make sure that you do. And you have to really practice to win. So that's why I try to do a little something every single day. You know, I got to tell you another one, a really great story. I called my wife because I actually was supposed to see my doctor today at 4 o'clock. They canceled on me. I'm like, great. I called her. I go, babe, I can come by and pick you up because I didn't think she was going to come tonight, right? And she says, well, I don't know. And I said, well, you know, you're my business partner. And what did it do for you? It changed her mind because she's like, I had never said you're my business partner, but she's my business partner in life, right? You're my business partner. She joined the business. So, and I can guarantee you by the end of the night tonight, she's going to be signed up for her 52 hours. Okay? So you guys, you can't just think it's going to happen. You have to do something little every single day. The reason why you do it every single day is because it keeps it on your mind all the time. You have to have a full-time mentality. You just have to. I don't care if you're part-time for 10 years. You still have to have a full-time mentality. Why is it? This is your business. If for no other reason to do this business part-time, think of the tax advantages. It's already given us some tremendous tax advantages. We're writing off everything, okay? We couldn't do it before. We're getting killed on taxes. Making great money, but what good is it? But you know what? You could actually make less money, but make more cash flow here. You understand how that works? You'll get that when you start seeing a good CPA and they can help you. Unfortunately, I'm not going to use the business. So, the point of it is this. The other thing is, I don't think we realize what's here. Okay, we really don't realize it. I was dying on Saturday. I wanted to come here so bad, but I knew I had to stay down. Because if I didn't, I wasn't going to be here again today. Because I do have a problem right now, and it's going to go away, it's going to get better. I'll be hiking again in no time. But the point of it is, seriously, I like to hike. You know what one of my best things was hiking? This is how I attacked everything. When I started working out again, about 6 years ago, my doctors were telling me, if you don't change this, you're going to be diabetic, you're going to this. I'm like, BS, you're crazy. I got to hurry because another speaker's got to come out. But the point of it is, I started working out again. Hurry?
No.
Some of you don't believe you can do it, right? Some of you just don't believe it. You have to believe it, okay? I believe it. I know I can do it, okay? I don't care. Age is a number. It means nothing to me, okay? But you have to focus on it. Okay, last thing, last point. Trust the system. Trust the system. Let me tell you how the system's working for me right now. I do not have time to do this business. I don't. I wish I could tell you I did. I drive an hour each way to work every day, right? And then I work 40 to 50 hours a week. That's not leaving very much time, you guys. So I'm finding time anywhere I can to do things. So the other thing that Christopher said to me, which really stood out, this was about 2 months ago. We're in a meeting, he's talking about making money. And I'm thinking, I know how to sell, what's wrong with you? So what did I do? Last month I wrote 3 apps, and we did one that was 50-50 with my son when he got into business. So I made $1,500 bucks. You know what I'm talking about right now? Making $1,500 bucks part-time. You know what? And guess what? People are like, what? How much you make? $1,500 bucks. They know I make good money. So they're thinking, because you know what? They're not making $1,500 bucks a month, right? And I'm talking about, it's like, to me, like it's chip money, right? Because really, it kind of is like that for me right now. But the point of it, you know what? We've got to get focused, you guys, get focused. Do you understand what we have here? I want to tell you what my wife said. She said, you know what? That office needs a spark. Guess what? The spark is us.
Good job, Spark.
And some dry brush. Takeaways. Takeaways.
He said something really important. He comes from the other side, like the old
Dark
person.
side.
He said, be coachable. And he mentioned something today at Motown, and he goes, man, you made me, like, you helped me believe in the system and about being coachable. So yeah, that's really important.
Who else?
I thought he was done. You want homesticks? I'll be right back.
One of the things, one of your quotes is I'm going to tell you on this. We say that one of the things, why am I going to win? Don't think it's
Yeah. Practice. James, you had something? Same thing as Carol. All right, I want to bring up one more speaker as we sort of close out. One more speaker. She's sort of like a silent assassin, though. If you're around the office during the week, not so silent anymore. So Michelle started like. I try and like every quarter, every 2 months, worst case every quarter, to sit down with everybody in my base shop for 15 minutes and just go through their goals. Whether we sit down in person or over the phone, I just want to be clear on what are the adjustments, what are they trying to achieve in the quarter, what are the commitments they're going to make. Because remember this, if you want to get big results in your life, you've got to make big decisions. You've got to make big commitments. You're not going to get big new results in your life with the same old decisions and the same old commitments. One of the things Michelle shared with me, and when we were at the end of the second quarter, we were talking about our goals for the, or at the end of the first quarter, goals for the second quarter. She's like, yeah, I've just decided I'm going to start coming into the office during the week to make my calls instead of making them at home or elsewhere. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I've heard that many times before. Okay, good, go get them. Great job. Good idea, right? But I've heard that so many times. And then she showed up. I was like, okay, she showed up, but here's what's going to happen. It's, you know, like, she's not going to magically get results just because she showed up. And then she showed up again. And then again. And then again. And then she started getting a little bit, and then she started asking some questions. And I said, hey, I want you to make an adjustment. I want you to go back and listen to and make calls with Louie and Warner and Ricky for a couple of hours. And she was sort of sheepish about it and shy about it. And then she did. And all of a sudden, like, she started becoming a daily fixture in the office. And the questions she started asking went from elementary to, like, she started moving up, and all of a sudden she's created a tremendous amount of activity by just little steps in a day, literally doing something every day to sort of move forward. And it's amazing how much her confidence has grown and her skills have grown along with the results that she's getting. So please help me give a raucous end of the night shout out, welcome, Michelle Jaroche.
to WFG thinking, okay, I have to figure out a way to do this business. Because when I first started, for the first 4 or 5 months, nothing. So I had to make a decision. What am I going to change? Put my kind of manager hat on. Say, okay, Michelle, you have to be flexible. What happens when you were in the department, things didn't work out? What did you have to do? So I told Christopher, I'm going to make a change. I decided that I was going to go into the office 4 days a week, not including BPM days. So I decided I was going to treat it like a job, meaning that I have to drop my son off to school in the morning, so I actually get dressed like I'm going to work. Because for 20 years I'm used to going into my job. I tried doing my phone calls at home. There's a lot of distractions because I'm not used to doing phone calls at home because I'm usually going into stores. So I decided, okay, I have to change something because I really want this business to work. So I have to treat it like a job. So I get dressed, drop my son off to school, and drive into the office. If there's something that happens in the morning, I'd come in the afternoon. Sometimes I'd be here all day. And so I kind of had to change my mindset in this business because I was used to doing the 9-to-5 job, and I was good at it. But I didn't want the 9-to-5 job anymore. So the first thing is accountability, is actually telling Christopher, this is what I'm going to do. So telling somebody that you're going to do something kind of gives you that, well, you said you're going to do it, so let's see if it's actually going to happen. And I was thinking, I'm pretty sure he thinks, oh, like I'm going to die off after a couple of weeks and stuff. So I'm like, no, I'm going to keep coming in. So week after week, 4 days a week, I would come in along with the BPM days, start getting to know a lot of the S&Ds in the office. I thought Christopher, asking a lot of questions and stuff, and making the calls with Louie and Warner did help me, and I could see the difference just in a month. Because when I was doing phone calls a month ago, I would be like very shy, talking to other people. But just the other day, Donnie, he gave me I think for a real estate agent, hey, can you call this person for me? I didn't even think twice. I was like, sure, yeah, let me call him. He was like, I said, why? Why do you want to call him? I was like, hey, just call him. So I called him, left a message. He called me back, and I didn't even think twice about just asking questions. Like, so how long have you been a real estate agent? 10 years? Wow. So you're doing really well. No? I'm like, well, are you open to a new opportunity? He goes, well, I was like, okay. But a month ago, I probably wouldn't have taken that call. I'd probably been like, Johnny, I don't know if I can do this. But that's where I see the change, is that I had the confidence to be like, let me just talk to this person. It's a stranger. But when we were making calls 4 months ago, I was like Sam, hanging up with people. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. Like, hang up, right? But accountability was big because as a manager instructs, accountability was huge. You say something, you have to be true to your word, that's your integrity. And so by me telling Christopher, this is what I'm going to do, I decided, well, I can't let Christopher down because I told him that I was going to come in 4 days a week. Right? So that's when I started seeing, well, I think so. Some of the things that I changed was, like Tom, reaching out to people on LinkedIn. And right now, I've been getting a lot of success with reaching out to people in different states. And so, even just in the couple weeks for me reaching out to people in LinkedIn has kind of changed a little bit. Yes, I get people who confidence that, okay, they say this, okay, this is what I'm gonna say. You know, they say this is what I'm gonna say. So the scripts helps me a lot to really get that momentum going, because my ultimate goal is I need their zip code and I need their phone numbers, because that's how I'm gonna get that contact with them. A lot of things that I do now is that I show interest in them. You know, a lot of the people that are unemployed that are on LinkedIn, they get people who give them false promises. They kind of ghost, they get ghosted, they never get follow-ups and stuff. So I decided I was going to be the person that was going to follow up with them, and that I was going to show interest in them, that actually looked at their profile. And I would tell them, like, you know what, I looked at your profile, and this is what struck me about it, and then I would tell them all the things in their, like their experience, that I thought was great, and how awesome our company would be for them, and what a difference it would make in their lives. And I've been getting people actually reaching out to me more because of that. I actually, and it also changes your thinking. I actually had a person message me today who, she mentioned that she was sick and tired of all these salespeople contacting her with all these pyramid schemes and this and that, and I hope that's not what you're offering, you know. And, you know, I didn't even bat an eye. I was like, oh, you know what? Hey, you know, I can understand how frustrating it is to, you know, you're trying to look for a job and this is not what you're looking for. And I said, you know, well, I've been helping people with their health and now with finances, you know, for 20 years. But you wouldn't think that that was sales, right? You know, so I kind of put that question back to her as far as sometimes what you think is sales is not necessarily what they think is sales. And then I kind of, you know, put it back to her and say, you know, I know it's very frustrating. She thought I was a redundant fields rep, which I had to tell her, I'm not redundant fields. So she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't look through your profile. But by the end of the conversation, she was actually apologizing to me about how, I'm sorry I came across very rudely to you, because I told her this story. I went to a book signing for this author, and he made a comment about, you never know somebody that you meet that is going to make a big, huge difference in your career. And I was like, you know, so sometimes who you think is not going to help you might actually help you in the long run, you know? And so I kind of told her that story, but by the end of it, she was like, you know what, let's keep in touch, you know? And this was the person who was like, I don't want to hear from any salesperson and stuff. But my thing is, like, I'm changing their mind of how they think about sales. Because even when I was helping people with health, that's sales. You're actually, you know, educating people to help themselves with their health. And not a lot of people like to do it. It is not the easiest thing, let me tell you. But even with this business is you kind of have to adapt and be flexible to see what's going to work for you. Because what works for Tom may not work for me. Because everyone has a different personality. And I think if you take an interest in people though, they'll see that you're genuine, that you really are not just there for them to be a number. You know, you have to care about people, take an interest in them. You know, to be a leader, you have to build that relationship. Because you have the power to see who's going to be on your team, right? So you have to build that relationship with people even though they're just a prospect. But that's how you're going to get them into the office. So I'd say right now I've got people doing interviews in Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and I have one that I'm trying to set up in North Carolina. But that's just some right now. So the other ones have not got together with the people that are in like Texas. I got one in Texas. I've got, you know, so I'd say don't think just like here. I'm still trying to build my team here, but I'm also trying to build wide and trying to build my team in other states also, because I'm trying to get to like my first 10. So, just try to think big instead of thinking, oh, well, let me just get here. And so, at least that's worked for me. And so, I hope that helped you guys.
Any major takeaways from Michelle?
She shifted mindset.
Mine? Oh, absolutely. By activity?
Location, she knew that she had to be in the office.
Absolutely. This, by the way, this environment's open to all of you. Just come on in, sit down, maybe take a plug in, have some skin in the game a little bit, make the calls, be around people. It's fantastic. Anybody else have any major takeaways from Michelle?
She has those scripts in front of her when she calls, not in her ear. She knows what she's going to say to them.
Yep.
She's internalized, practice, rehearsed, role play, and internalized.
Absolutely. You should become probably a mobile environment. When she gets the phone call now, she doesn't have to run back to her script. She probably can just have the conversation. That's what a mobile environment is. Once you own the words, you know when to keep them away from it. Anybody else?
Michelle, where do you live?
Where at?
Brea, so it's probably super convenient for you to come into the office all the time just to make your calls.
No, I've been up because 20 minutes, 25 minutes away.
I'm sure. And so, what has shifted for you by making the commitment to come in and make your calls here as opposed to the way you were doing it in the first quarter?
I'm more focused in building my team. So I want to win.
Right.
So I have that winning kind of mentality that this is what I have to do. It's a little bit hard now, but it's going to pay off in the long run.
Like once you drive in, it's hard to screw off, isn't it? It's like you already made the commitment, you invested the time, you got here. It's like I better make it pay off, and you are. You're focused. You're on it, and it's impressive to see it. And most people, most part-timers will resist that investment of time in coming into the office throughout the week, other than a BPM, and yet it's those kinds of commitments that pay off big results.
Yeah. Well, they say that convenience only comes before success in the dictionary. Right? We had a situation Saturday. We had somebody that literally was, I think he was trying to get out of the appointment, but he sent Tim a text, and I'm with him. Right? And hey, I can't make 1 o'clock. I'm on my way. So that was a commitment. I gotta take 3 buses and an Uber to get here, but I should be there by 3. And so that's like, a lot of us would go, man, that just sounds kind of hard, that kind of stuff, and that kind of stuff. So Tim like, what do I reply? So I said, well, I have your phone. Right? That's awesome, see you when you get here. Right? Because I already know if somebody's willing to do that, by the way, he didn't show up, but if somebody's willing to do that, they are more likely to win. Because they're putting that type of effort into it. When I go to convention, that's what I see, the people who are making a difference. They're not the ones that said, man, I came in, I had a bunch of money, I had a good job, I really didn't need to do this, and now I'm making $1 million. No, they got stories. They got stories. If you're looking for, I guess I probably shouldn't like bring things in, but like, look, this business is easy, but it's hard. Right? Once you own it, once you learn it, once you get the crusade in your heart, it's not as hard anymore. Because all the people you're talking to, they're interested in them, and you're just trying to say, see how we can help. What's the connection? So, great Christopher job, great idea. Ideas still coming up. Look at the things that are on here. You guys all know the definition of insanity, right? You're doing the same thing, expecting a different result. What he did is he brought 4 people up here that are doing something else. There shouldn't be a person in the room that's not going to take something and do something bigger and better coming out of here than that.
One last thing, and it's a short last thing, which those of you that know me well go, yeah, there's no way it's only one, and there's no way it's short. Here's where I want you to here's where I want your mind as you're leaving tonight, okay? There's so many moving parts to this system. To be successful, I want you to keep it very simple and narrow it down, okay? All you have to do is invite guests. Like if you keep it that simple, we've got some of the best and most successful people in the office that will do a presentation in there for you. We have people to greet them down on the ground floor when they get out of the elevator, people to greet them as soon as they come into the lobby, people to sign them in. We have a great mozum, great people here, all of you included in that, to connect and relate and create energy and all that wonderful stuff. Great presenters in there to share the story of the company, to share our mission, people to help you get the next step, whether it's an interview or whether it's a financial needs analysis from there. Then we have people to do the interview for you. We have people to do the fast start for you. We have people to help make the calls off their reference list or the top 25 and invite guests like Nancy had down here today, even though she wasn't here. We have people to make the calls and help set up the appointments. If you're not ready yet, we have people to actually go run those appointments for you, and you benefit. Like, literally, this system, we talk all the time about the system, you own the entire thing from day one. Before you even know how to run the whole thing, you own the entire thing, and literally, you invite guests. They either want a financial needs analysis and they become a client, or they're interested in becoming an associate. That's most likely what's going to happen. Now, sometimes they don't have an initial interest in either, they just give you a referral, so that's totally fine. But what we find the majority of the time is one of these two things happens. Average client, 3,000 points. You're new, so you're splitting it with somebody else because you don't know what you're doing yet. Somebody else is doing all the heavy lifting for you, that's 1,500 points. You're super new, you're on a training associate contract, that's $375 for having a for having a guest. They become an associate. Not only do they also become a client, but then typically they help us to find clients as well. If you just focus on this, not only will you start earning income, but you'll start to build a team, and it's going to take you through all of the other steps of the system so that you'll learn them experientially, not in a classroom, but all of the steps of a hiring interview, a fast start, a financial needs analysis, all those things. You're going to be on real live ones, and adults are experiential learners. We learn by doing, so you're getting a chance to really learn and develop the skills and the confidence while you're earning income. It's like the greatest university. Bernie Sanders wants all kids to go to college for free. We want you to earn while you learn. It's even better. We want you to earn, like, don't postpone earning for 4 years. We want you to earn while you learn. It's the most genius system ever created. And by the way, it's like, the guest that I invite, it's just like, hey, would you help me out? Would you just come down and take a look? And from there, they can decide whatever they want to do with it. But it's the easiest thing in the world to do when you embrace it, and you find success comes easy. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it super, super simple. All right. Everybody's got a base shop meeting after meeting. I appreciate you guys. Team, thank you. Life builders, thank you.
Let's go.
Building base in the conference room.